And Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and welcome to the Virtual House Church. So glad you could join us here today. I'm going to switch us over here. If you are new to the Virtual House Church, you can go to virtualhousechurch.com. It's our primary website. This was a website that was developed originally in 2012 and 13. It's in the process of getting a major upgrade and going each week and updating it as we go along here. So all the links all the way up to this week will take you to the new website. This week is Numbers Week 35, at least according to the calendar we're keeping. I will say that we are ahead of some people and behind other people, so I have really no idea what the real one is supposed to be, the real reading. So I guess we're okay because we're kind of right in the middle right now. But the way this works, if you just kind of click through it, who we are, it takes you to a new About Us page, which is just a page that describes a little bit about Sheila and I. Let me enlarge that for you here. And Virtual House Church Store, click on that. There's a calendar, you click on that. Free PDF that was done by Kevin and Amanda Roberts, has a bunch of information here to help you understand the Sabbath and the feasts and all that kind of stuff. And then you get into the calendar and it has the various readings. So for instance, let me see what they have for our calendar. Today is June 5th. They are starting on June 5th, Bamidbar. So we are doing Naso. Other people, I think, are actually doing Shalaka, something like that. Numbers 13. So anyway, that's where we are right here for this year. And you can, if you want to get a printed copy of it, you can click here. It takes you right to their website. You can purchase either a national, if you live in the United States, or international. They service both orders there for printed copies. Scroll down below that, and there's the calendar put together by Juan Carlos. And same thing, you click on that, it's a free PDF. He reckons the times and the seasons a little bit differently. So as we always say here, we are all students. We are in the process of learning. Some of us have different ideas on how to account for these things. So we are just presenting a few options here for you to consider so that you can do, as the scriptures say, test all things, to hold fast that which is true. Pray about it, see which one works for you. Below that are the workbooks that you can get on Amazon, typically faster. And if you want to save a few dollars, you get them all 5 together. You could order them through us. I am current on all of our orders, so if you have placed an order and you haven't received it yet, you're waiting on the post office. It's in the mail. Below that are the PDF versions, so if you want to get it instantaneously, you can click on those, and then you're free to print them off for yourself, make copies for your home group, your fellowship, and small groups or what have you. Put them in workbook binders or something like that if you'd like. Below that is the Ephraim Awakening DVD-ROM that contains all the resources you see here, including the PDF version of the workbooks. Statement of Faith is just what it sounds like. It's what we believe here on the Virtual House Church. There's a video here that's This is Our Creed by Petra. Kind of sums it up, but below that is our Statement of Faith right there for you to check out if you want to know what we believe. Defending the Messiah is a very comprehensive web page, contains a ton of information on this page, and divided up into categories right here. So if you just want to click on something like the Messiah's name, it'll jump you right down the page to that portion. There's a ton of information here if you want to understand why Yeshua is in fact the prophesied Messiah of the Old Testament. And I've tried to use primarily Old Testament references to defend Messiah, because on the road to Emmaus, that's what he did. He began with Moses and the prophets to tell the two guys on the road to Emmaus that didn't recognize him who he was. And in the end of the book of Acts, Paul's doing the same thing. He's in a rented house, beginning with Moses and the prophets to tell people who Yeshua was. The Bereans, when they were searching these things out, the good Bereans searching the scriptures daily, they weren't reading Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John or the epistles of Paul. They were testing those things. They were testing the words of those people, and they were doing so by going to the Torah and the prophets. So this is a page dedicated to that. I would recommend you spend some time there checking that stuff out. Coming Out of Babylon is another very comprehensive webpage, lots of information. What does it mean to come out of Babylon? To keep the Sabbaths, the feasts, and all that good stuff. So again, a page full of videos and books and resources for you to check out to understand more what we're doing here. Torah Fellowship, if you are looking to fellowship with people other than what we're doing here virtually online, This is a great resource for you. It takes a few seconds for this page to load. This was put together by 119 Ministries. And the way it works, let's go way up in here. Oh, let's go on Iceland. Iceland. There's one person here in Iceland, almost right in the middle, right there. Hidar. This person's probably looking for some fellowship. So if you happen to be in Iceland, in this vicinity, maybe you want to connect with that person. You guys can get together and fellowship. If you live in the United States, wow, I mean, look at how many blue dots and red. I think red are actually fellowships, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but I think the red ones are fellowships and the blue ones are individuals. But whatever the case may be, it works the same way. You click on it and it takes you to the contact information. And I mean, you got to zoom in before you start seeing spaces between these. So chances are, if you live in the United States, there are people near you that are doing the same thing and probably looking for fellowship. So this is a good way to do that. What about Paul? Many who come to this to listen to these videos or come here in general that don't believe as we do, they will try to quote Paul and say, what we're doing is wrong and we are heretics. Really? I would say you shouldn't read, much less quote, one thing Paul wrote until you thoroughly understand what Paul read, what he studied, what he likely had memorized. Once you do that, then his writings take on a whole new light, and we here love Paul. We think Paul is an authentic apostle, and that his writings are in fact scripture, as Peter himself testified. But here are some frequently asked questions and comments dealing with Paul. These are blogs that I wrote back primarily in 2013 through 15, right there. So frequently addressed issues right here. And we got a whole section just to the book of Galatians. Are you really a foolish Galatian for trying to obey Yahuwah? No, not at all. And take note that Peter also wrote to the Galatians and what he had to say. Hebrew calendars, you click on this page. This is a page dedicated to the calendar. Again, it has the two that we have right here, Kevin and Amanda's and Juan Carlos, as well as some other Jewish resources here. Some blogs that I've written on the Sabbath and feasts and stuff on the Passover and whatnot. You can use the search bar right here if you're looking for a keyword on the website. You could do that. Yahuwah's Love Letter, Psalm 91. These are both audio players. These clips will be a blessing to you. I promise you, if you haven't listened to them, you might really want to check those out. Below that are Bible study tools that I enjoy, and below that is the Aramaic English New Testament. You can check that out by Andrew Gabriel Roth. If you have supported us in the past, we greatly appreciate it. Thank you. We are a listener-supported ministry. We cannot do what we do without you. That is not an understatement. Truly mean that. So for those of you who have supported us in the past, we greatly appreciate it. And if you'd like to do so now or in the future, you can use that button right there, or send us a check or money order to Kingsgate Media right there. We have other ministries here that you might want to check out that will be a blessing to you. Your Living Waters, Ardell's commentaries right there are fantastic. Torah Family, Steve Mutria, New to Torah, Zach Bauer, 119 Ministries, Unlearn by Lex Meyer and Jim Staley right there. And speaking of Jim Staley, I spoke with him a couple of days ago, and the week that we do the Numbers 13 Bible study, or Torah portion, he will probably, we're going to see if we can work it out, but he'll probably join us for that. So either next week or the week after, he will be here as a co-host with me to discuss that. That should be exciting. We had a really cool conversation the other day, about a 3-hour phone call, and it's like, man, we kind of wish this was on the air for everybody, because it was certainly a blessing to both of us, and we believe it would be to you as well. So hopefully we'll be able to sort of recreate that for you either next week or the week after. This week's study page is the shortcut page for each week. It has the scripture readings right here. You click on that.
The Lord spoke to Moses
and have it read to you right there. The Parsha in 60 seconds right here is a ministry that distills the Torah portion down to 60 seconds. We'll go ahead and listen to that.
Shalom and welcome to Parsha in 60 seconds. Today's portion is from Numbers 421 through 789. It is called Naso, which means lift up. Moses took several censuses in order to divide specific tasks in the tabernacle. God directed the Israelites to purify the camp and remove unclean people. When one wronged a fellow Israelite and realized his guilt, he was to confess and make restitution. Sacred donations were to be priests to keep. If a husband accused his wife of being unfaithful, they were to go to the priest and take a test of bitter water. The test involved mixing some dirt in water, baking bread, and the wife drinking the water. If her thigh sags and belly distends, then she was unfaithful. If nothing happened, she was faithful and could bear children. Should one wish to set themselves apart for God, they would take the Nazirite vow. No wine, intoxicants, vineyard grapes, raisins, or anything obtaining to a grapevine. No razors would touch the Nazirite head until the completion of the Nazirite terms, and the Nazirite was not to go near a dead person. If a person died suddenly near a Nazirite, they must shave their head, make sacrifice, and start over. On completion of the vow, sacrifice was made, and hair would be shaved and burned. The Aaronic benediction was instructed to the priest to give to the people. The tabernacle was completed and anointed and consecrated. Moses would speak to God in the tent of meeting. And that is Naso in 60 seconds.
Lots of cool stuff there for this week's study, and this is the live stream that we are doing here right now, which will archive here each week after we're done, and it stays up for a whole week until I update the page for the following week's study. Let's go ahead and click on this button right here. This takes you to the study page. This has all of the notes from previous year's study. If you click on this right here, if you're viewing on a mobile device or a cell phone, you can click on that right there, and it takes you to a more mobile-friendly version of the website that is rescalable. So like if on a tablet, it might look like that, or on a cell phone like this. And by the way, if you're viewing this on a cell phone, this top part right here is really handy. So if you know what week you're studying, for instance, you click on numbers, you click on that right there. Whoops, let me go back. Click on numbers. That didn't work. Works on my cell phone. Well, it works on the cell phone. Don't know why it doesn't work on the computer. Anyway, it takes you down to a page that makes it easier, in theory, to view the study for the week. And before I forget, here is the Virtual House Church Discord server right here. I'm going to copy the link, post it in the chat room for you. Boom, there you go. That's if you'd like to continue to have dialogue, discussion, further study. This is a really great resource for you. It has general discussion channels right here in the left-hand menu. Hebrew learning, if you want to get interested in learning Hebrew and talking with people who are trying to help you do that. That's for that right there. Cosmology, biblical cosmology right there. Prayer closet, if you have prayer requests and praise reports, you can post them there. I want to talk about Paul right there. Somebody wants to talk about Wonder Woman apparently. Dietary discussions, stuff right there. And if you are single and maybe looking to get into a relationship or meet somebody who's like-minded, this might be a resource for you. But I would just say, proceed with caution. I just posted the link. Anybody that's watching this from anywhere in the world can go here. The link's good for 24 hours, so it's only good till this time tomorrow, about 2:15 on June 6th. It will not be good anymore. But anybody can click on that link. So, be prayerful, be mindful, be cautious. Anytime you're getting into something like that, just be cautious. That's all I'm going to say right there. Hopefully everybody's all in the up and up, but you never know. Down below that is the text channels, and you can get in here and activate your webcam and microphone and actually talk with people like you would on Skype or Zoom or something like that. So lots of cool resources right there for you to check out on the Discord server. Let me get back to here. And these are the scriptures right there. It takes you to BibleGateway.com. And this is the player right there. This is what we just watched a minute ago. And let me just double check something here. I'm kind of stalling because, hang on a second. Well, looks like, this is going to be a short virtual house church today. Neither Juan Carlos nor I got a text from Jake that said he can't make it, and I just saw that Juan Carlos sent me an email saying that he can't make it. So, I didn't actually prepare anything for today. So, I tell you what, this is a powerful week study. And I was listening to the 2013 broadcast this morning, and wow, lots of good information there. 2013, 14, those two in particular, the 13 broadcasts and the 14 broadcasts, tended to go a lot deeper than the later ones in terms of study, where we were really diving. I tried to kind of change the format up each year, so it's just kind of make it fresh and something new. So sometimes it's just having commentary with the audiences and stuff, and like we're doing this cycle, having co-hosts on here to share insights. But the first 2 years especially was just me, and I was giving my insights as well as reading resources from others. And I read in 2013, I read the commentary by Ardell, and it looks like in 2014 I also played the video I did in 13 and 14, the Nailed to the Cross video by 119 Ministries, Steve Mutria. Wow. And it was kind of interesting because in 2013, in fact, so let me just go through all this. These are the different videos right here. This is the one we're doing right here, right now. It'll be archived. This is done by the Way Biblical Fellowship. These are the commentaries right here. And in 2013, I had busted my foot. Yeah, it was the new Star Trek movie had come out, and I wanted to go see it, and I was like, I had 10 minutes to get to the theater. I ran down the stairs. We were in the second floor apartment, and I missed the last step and landed wrong and busted my foot like real bad. You can see right here is all messed up, and it didn't have any health insurance, didn't have any money, didn't have any way to pay for this. I think it was like $18,000 or $13,000 surgery, something like that. Had no money. Put a call out to you guys, and the community came through for me just in the nick of time. We went and scheduled the surgery in faith, but we didn't have the money for it. And it was one of those deals, once you get to surgery, you had to pay for it. So it was like, okay, I booked it, now I got to pay for it. Thank you guys so much to everybody who contributed toward that surgery. They put it back together again with all these plate and screws and everything like that. So that was desperately needed and desperately appreciated for all of you who helped to put me back together again. But it may have been one of those things that had to happen to slow me down, because I was, as always, doing a million things, and my mind was kind of scattered with lots of other thoughts and ideas and things that I wanted to accomplish and whatnot. And when I busted my foot, I couldn't go to our normal house church fellowship that I was meeting at Kevin and Amanda's house. And so I was laid up at home with my foot up, and it was swollen, and I got ice packs on it and everything. I'm laying there in pain, and I was like, well, I'm going to see if I can find something to listen to or watch online. And I eventually found the teaching by 119 Ministries. Now, this is a remastered version of it. This is not the Steve Mutria version of it. The Steve Mutria version is in the 2014 broadcast and audio in the 2013 broadcast. I don't know if the remastered one with the new guy from 119 Ministries, if it has the same emotional impact. I don't know. But the one that Steve Mutria did, maybe it was because I was already in pain. I don't know. But, man, I wept like a baby. I cried my eyes out. It was the most profound revelation I have ever heard in my life on Yeshua and what he did for us. And I've talked about Jim Staley's teaching, Identity Crisis, being one of those revolutionary teachings that helped put a whole lot of pieces into place, and the puzzle started to really take shape, and the picture became a lot clearer as to what was really going on. What was Yeshua's purpose at his first coming? Why did he come in the first place? Well, he came to redeem the bride. And when I got a hold of that teaching, that made me weep, because it was just like so much joy, like overwhelmed me, that I finally, it's an appropriately titled teaching, Identity Crisis, because we had lost our identity. We didn't know who we were. We create doctrines like dispensation theology that divorce us from Israel, whereas Romans chapter 7 through 11, read the entire book of Hosea first. Again, understand what Paul read and understood and studied first. Study what Paul studied. Then read what Paul wrote, because Paul's writing in the context of what he understood as a Hebrew scholar of the law, as a Pharisee, as somebody who was thoroughly acquainted with the text and knew what it meant. If you read the entire book of Hosea, then read the book of Romans, chapter 7 through 11, and chapter 11 alone destroys dispensation theology. If you are not blood related to Israel, you are of the wild olive tree. When you believe in Yeshua, you are grafted into the cultivated olive tree. What is the cultivated olive tree? The cultivated olive tree is Israel. And it talks about the natural branches. If they don't believe, they're broken off, but they can be grafted back in. But we, as wild olive trees can be grafted into the cultivated olive tree. Ephesians chapter 2 talks about the commonwealth of Israel, that you were once afar off. You were not part of it, but then you've been brought into it. Into what? Into the commonwealth of Israel. So we have grafting terminology, we have legal immigration terminology, and in Galatians we see adoption terminology, that we are fellow heirs, joint heirs of Abraham. So there are so many scriptures. In fact, 119 Ministries has a video called The Error of Dispensation. I think it's Error of Dispensationalism or Error of Dispensation Theology, something like that. It's on the Virtual House Church Coming Out of Babylon page. And they go through all the scriptures that dispensation theology violate. So once you throw out dispensation theology, which was actually invented to justify the pre-trib rapture doctrine, you can't have one without the other. You have to have dispensation theology to believe in pre-trib rapture, and if you have dispensation theology, you're probably going to believe in the pre-trib rapture. So they go hand in hand. Once you throw one out, both go out. And so anyway, once you understand who you are, that you are Israel, and you understand that Israel was divorced in Jeremiah chapter 3, then you start to have a greater appreciation and understanding of what Yeshua did to reconcile, to redeem his bride. So I started to understand that with Jim Staley's teaching Identity Crisis, and that had a profound influence and impact on my life. But when I saw the Steve Matria version, anyway, I don't think I've ever watched the new version here. Boy, I don't know if it was the pain meds that I was on or just the state of mind I was, or whatever. I don't know, but wow, I just wept. I couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop crying. I was so appreciative and so amazed at what he did for us. And here's sort of a breakdown of that right there. And that's this week's Torah portion. It's all related to this week's Torah portion, and it helps you to understand why Yeshua began with Moses, to explain who he was and what he did. And when he was in the garden and he prayed that this cup be passed from him, what cup was he talking about? Was it just a metaphor for suffering? You know, I've written, directed, and produced and played Jesus in Passion plays many times, and have played the part in the Garden of Gethsemane. And I've always understood it as a metaphor, this cup of suffering. But what if it was something more than that? What if it was a deeper metaphor? And Steve goes through it sort of line by line, and using Paul and things that Paul understood to show that it is, I would say, highly, I don't even want to use the word likely, because I think it's definite. I'll say likely, but I think it was definite that he was referring to this, the cup of bitter suffering, the cup of bitter waters, that the adulterous bride, when a woman or a husband believes his wife may have committed adultery, suspects her of committing adultery, there's this ritual that, if there's no witnesses, they can't bring a court case, because there's no witnesses. But in this situation, if the husband suspects it, then the wife goes through this ritual where she drinks this bitter water, and it causes her abdomen to swell and her thighs to waste away, if she's guilty. If she's not guilty, nothing happens. She just drinks some nasty water, So when you see what happened during the crucifixion and what physically happens to a body that undergoes crucifixion, and you understand what Yeshua was doing, that he was actually taking the cup of bitter waters because why? Israel had committed adultery. He had committed adultery. And we know that Yahuwah is a jealous God. And some people don't like the word jealousy, but you want your spouse to be jealous for you, not the type that is always paranoid that are you looking at somebody or somebody looking at you? Not that type of thing, but somebody that will defend you, somebody that loves you enough that they are hurt deeply if you were to cheat on them. You want somebody to love you enough to be jealous in a situation like that. And so Yahuwah loves you so much that he doesn't want you going after any other gods. And if you start whoring after other gods and doing other things related to other gods, like Christmas and Easter, things like that, have nothing to do with Yeshua, nothing to do with Yahuwah, nothing to do with anything in the Bible. It's all pagan. Whoring after the things of other gods, he doesn't like that. Rightfully so. He's a jealous husband who loves and gave everything for his bride. He gave everything for his bride. Is it too much to ask that you just simply love him back? I don't think so. I think considering all he did for us, that's the least we can do. That's why the 2 commandments, love God with all your heart, your soul, your mind, right? Love your neighbor as yourself. Those are the 2 commandments that summarize the 10 commandments, which summarize this so-called 613 commandments. It's all wrapped up in love God and love your neighbor, right? So he is a husband that is jealous, and he actually knows his bride has committed adultery, because that's the whole entire book of Hosea, and many of the prophets for that matter tell you that. And Jeremiah chapter 3 says he divorced her, the northern kingdom, Israel, because of it. So, but what did Yeshua do? He was sold for, remember, I think was it last week's study? I think it was last week's study. The price of a woman was 30 pieces of shekels, 30 pieces of silver. That's what he was betrayed for. Right? So Judas betrayed him for the price of a woman. So we see sort of the allegory right there. Okay, he's taking on the role of the woman. What woman? Israel. The woman that was divorced from Yahuwah. The one he wants to get back. What did he say? Yeshua himself in Judea said, I have only come for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He said this to the Jews. Northern kingdom, southern kingdom. Northern kingdom was known as Israel/Ephraim, southern kingdom, Judah, primarily consisting of the Jews or people from Judah and Levites, and I think a little bit of Benjamin was mixed in there. But he said he had only come for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And then he became Israel for us. He took on the adulterous bride. He was sold for the same amount of money, right? He was betrayed for the same amount of money. And when he said, may this cup pass from me, he knew that he was about to be tried for adultery, because he was taking on the role of the adulterous bride. And this particular form of execution just so happened to make your thighs waste away, because you have to breathe by moving up and down on the spikes that are going through your feet. And if you've ever had a Charlie horse, magnify that by like 1 billion. And imagine that for 6 hours. Some people live for as much as 3 days, believe it or not. It was an act of mercy to break the legs so that they couldn't push up and breathe. You need to be able to exhale. And the only way you could exhale in this position was to push yourself up. And you had to do that on the spikes, which just horrific pain. And if you can imagine your legs being bent like that, and all the pain that you're going through from the spikes, and just every time you exhale. So as you're listening to me right now, just think of how many times you're exhaling. That's how many times you're going to have to press up on the nails that are going through your feet, holding your body weight up. That's how many times you're going to have to press up, and you're going to get Charlie horses and everything else, and your thighs eventually waste away, and your belly extends. Your belly becomes swollen. It extends. And that's exactly what happened to Yeshua. So there's stuff here on all that, as well as things on the issue of the Nazirite vow. So these are some of the teachings and resources available here. And since I don't really have anything more to say, I'll cut this short right here today, and encourage you guys to listen to either the 2013 broadcast or the 2014. Watch that, because I think I couldn't. There's nothing more that I could add to the discussion today, and I don't have anybody else to join me here today. So I really think these will be a huge blessing to you, especially if this is new to you, if you've never heard it before. Even if you have heard it before, like I said, I listened to it this morning, and it was a tremendous blessing to me. So I'm just going to leave it at that, and encourage you guys to watch the 2013, or listen to the 2013, or watch the 2014 broadcast. All right. Sorry, this is so short, but maybe it's for a reason. Maybe you guys need to go and watch that stuff. All right. Blessings, everybody. Shabbat Shalom, and we'll see you back next week on the Virtual House Church.